Good morning, Jana, and good
Morning.
morning, Flosstube. Welcome to our episode number 5. I hope you'll enjoy it. Today, EGA friends and I are doing something a little different, and it'll probably be different going forward. We all have noticed problems, and people have sought advice. And as EGA members, Embroiderers Guild of America, we felt like we had good answers. And one of the things that comes up over and over again, and especially as we age, we all need are tools that help us in magnification and light, because I need one or the other or both. And maybe you do too. So, the problem we're tackling today are what tools to use when you need magnification and light combinations separately. And we're calling this pro and con because we're each going to talk about our solutions to the problem, although there's many, many out there. And you may be surprised, we don't always agree. So we're calling this pro and con. And today's topic is magnification and lighting.
First of
Um,
all, I'm
yes.
not aging. I'm simply getting older.
Okay. Maybe we should say more experienced.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, um, EGA to me, and I think you'll find that this is an episode that demonstrates that well, does stand officially for Embroiderers Guild of America, but we think of it as Enablers Guild of America because there's always some new toy or tool that you will learn about through EGA. So, without further ado, Jana and I will launch pro and con.
Magnification. As far as I'm concerned, I'm wearing bifocals. It's a pro. And what I use is a clip-on for my glasses. And some of you may have seen these in classes. They come in different magnification levels. This is a +3. It ranges from +1 to +5. And you can see the clip thing here. And I can clip it right on my glasses. Makes you look kind of strange. So instead of having four eyes, I've got six. But the nice thing is, as I'm stitching, I can look over the edge. If this gets in my way, I can just simply flip them up, then I'd look really strange. But they work for me. Um, I've used them for years. There's two things you need to be aware of. I used to wear wire rim glasses. These do not clip onto wire rim glasses very well. They kind of slide around a little bit because there's just not enough thickness to hold it. So I deliberately, when I got my new glasses for stitching, I deliberately picked a pair that had plastic frames because the frame is a little bit more thick and it supports it better. The other thing is these are not glass. It's sort of a plexiglass, and as such, it tends to get dirty a little bit easier, but you can easily wash it in warm water with some soap, and then you're good to go again. But you don't use these, do you?
I don't. I tried them because I thought my solution looked even stranger. Um, as you know, I'm very portable. I try to be as portable as possible. So I have some readers, some cheap readers, in this little tiny case. It's hard, so it keeps them protected. When I wear them over my glasses, and I wear progressives, I
Yeah.
look also like I have, I'm
I,
the six-eyed girl. And they look goofy, but they help me see. And if I get them positioned just perfectly, I can stitch for hours. And I've had these since before I got glasses, and they have lasted. I have them in, these are twos and seem to work well with my current prescription. But I have gone as far up as four before I got the glasses. Um, and I just love them because I did buy a pair of the clip-on ones that you use, And number one, they wouldn't stay on my glasses properly. And every time I flipped them off, they would usually flip off and go flying across the room. And eventually I pulled them out of my toolbox and they had snapped. So
Oh,
they didn't last very long. And they were relatively expensive compared to a three-pack of readers at Costco or some other big box store.
yeah, I think I paid 15 or $16 recently for one of these, but I will say this, they redesigned these because when I had these first years ago, instead of the clip part being plastic, it was actually a wire, which was interesting. And
Uh,
that
uh,
did not seem to hold as well. It does come with its own little case. Um, One of these days, I'd like to sew one because sometimes the lining of the case comes apart and then it becomes a little more difficult to stick them in here. So that's something on my to-do list, which is getting infinitely long.
yeah,
But they
I have a
work.
lot of those too.
Yeah, but they work for me. But you also use a lamp with a magnifier?
I do. So, stepping up, when I am going to a seminar or a retreat or a stitch in, I like this lamp. It sits on a table. There we go. Okay, if I sit back, it sits on a table. It has a wonderful magnifier and it has a wonderful light that's very concentrated and has a good area that will surround my space at a seminar table or retreat table.
You mean like this?
Yes, just like that.
Yeah. Very cool. And you saw my carrying thing. I got it, Joann's. It held knitting needles, but it was with this thing collapsed, it was the perfect size. Well, there you go. Where'd you get that?
Exactly. It's a knitting needle case. The person who enabled me to buy this lamp also said, and it fits into a knitting needle case. And these are everywhere on the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know that, I mean, obviously we can't get them at Joann's anymore.
Mm,
But I don't know if your local knitting shop will carry them.
a hobby
I got
shop.
this, yes, I got this on Amazon.
Okay.
And it wasn't very expensive. In fact, it was half the price of the lamp, if that. And I like it in that the light is good. Mine has a charging cord. It's a rechargeable battery inside, so I don't have to keep replacing batteries.
Which would make
Um,
it good for a seminar class.
right, so you don't have to worry about plugging it in. I will say it has two settings, and when I have it on the second setting, it will last most of a stitching day. Um, but the older they get, I've noticed the batteries wear faster.
Mm.
Now, my con with this is it's adjustable well, but it's not, I don't find it flexible enough. I would prefer something with a gooseneck.
Well, it does do some adjusting. Now, mine is not USB capable. It has a traditional plug. But yet I can use this in a class. Why? Because I have a power supply here, and these are not as inexpensive as they used to be, frankly. I priced them just recently, and I was shocked by how far up in price they had gone. But this actually has a place I can plug in a lamp, and I've done this in a class. So first of all, I got to turn it on so you can tell that, yep, it's on. And then I can go ahead and plug it in there and plug it in on the other end of the lamp. There we go. And I have three settings for dimness, for brightness. Yeah, one, two, and three. But it does mean that I have to take this along. And the only thing with this one, I have a second one that also has a three-prong plug in it. The other one is actually very flat on top. This one is just ever so slightly curved, but I've been known to take this into a class and then just sit this on top of the power supply And I'm actually good for the whole day. And
Nice.
by setting it on top of the power supply, it's not taking up as much space. So yeah, this is one. Then I have another one that I have here. This was supposed to hold wine bottles. No, I've got more important stuff to put in here.
A lamp case.
Yeah. Now this one is USB capable. And instead of the very expensive device here, I can use one that is as small as this or even this. These are power supplies, far less expensive. This one's pretty cool. It was given to me as a gift. And when I plug this in, and it does have a USB port, it tells me what percentage of power I have left.
Good information.
That one is very cool. And then all I have to do on this one is just simply crank it open and yeah, you can see this has a ton of lights on it. So it's this one though is more stationary. You really can't bend it. So when you pull this up, that's pretty much what you get. So
Well,
that
and
would
that's
have
light
been
only, right?
it is light on, so there is no magnifier on this one. But if you're using these or
Right.
cheaters, then maybe you don't need a light with a magnifier because it does make it cost less if it does not have the magnifier in it.
Well, this is my light source. Again, it's rechargeable and it is a headlamp. So it's designed to go over your head,
Talk about
which is
looking funny.
which is great if you're out night hiking. But if you're on a bus or a plane, what I have found is I pull it down, and again, I put my readers on if I'm doing something fine, and there you go. You have a nice concentrated source, and the direction is somewhat, of course, I'm not quite sure. Oh, I got it upside down. That's why. Because there's a little directional source. And if I'm stitching, the project has a fair amount of lighted space. It's very lightweight. The charge lasts a long time. It's very compact and it doesn't bother anyone else. It's a little bit brighter, but it's no more, it's just as concentrated as those airplane lamps or the little push button lights that you get when you're taking a tour on a bus.
That could be handy in a hotel room.
And a hotel room. You're
Yeah.
right.
Having spent 10 days in a hotel, and I realized when I got there, I had not brought a lamp with me, so I had to get a cheaper one very quickly. But that would have been very handy because, hotel rooms are notoriously unlit.
Yeah, the 20-watt bulbs don't cut it.
No, not even the LEDs that they have nowadays.
Right.
I've
Right.
walked into them and I've wondered where are the lamps when there's actually been one on. It's been so.
Yeah.
Um,
And I like to stitch in bed comfortably with my feet up when
okay.
I'm in a hotel room or read at night. And if I have a roommate, it's sometimes hard I don't feel right leaving a light on. So it's nice to have that concentrated light source.
Yeah. Now at home, I might use one of these. I have a couple of other lamps that I tend to also use. This one is an interesting one because it actually has two light tubes, for lack of a better phrase. And the cool thing about it is you can move them. It's a sort of a gooseneck, so you can tilt it a little bit and you can pull these apart, push them together, which I find very handy. But it takes quite a bit of space. It's not something you want to take in a suitcase. It's really more for at home. And the other one that I use at home is this light right here. And it's got this big head right here has the magnification. And you can buy different diopters It comes with, I
Ah,
think it comes with a 5, but I think you can get them all the way up to an 11 and down to a 3. So
wow.
you can get magnification out, like crazy here. But the one thing you have to realize is it needs to be covered. Otherwise, if the sun hits it, you may have a little fire to put out.
I
Something,
have a story to tell about that when
yeah,
it's my
something will
turn.
start smoking. So what happened with yours?
Well, I have a similar lamp, um, and it has a magnification, uh, and it's not working today. You can see the electrical tape, and there are some popsicle sticks. The
That
one
chewing
thing
gum and baling wire?
the one thing I don't like about, there are two things I don't like about this lamp, and it's lovely. And everything is kind of adjustable. Here's a big lamp. So even though I prefer being able to use the lighting because it's a little more concentrated, that surrounds the magnifier. There, now it is. So it lights this up well. This sometimes casts shadows depending on where I'm holding things. But it is quite light. There are three parts because there's also a third part, which is a hook for a chart or some instructions. Um, and it has a power plug. It plugs into the wall. Um, the one thing I don't like is this is actually my second lamp. The magnifier on the prior lamp broke at the base. So this is why I've replaced it. And it is a little top heavy. So you have to make sure it is underneath, tucked underneath whatever you're stitching in. You're stitching chair, couch, whatever.
Question, when you have that light turned on, we could see it was really bright on this end. Is there something on the top side that is shielding your eyes from that really bright light?
Yes, I don't see it. Looking through it, the top is just a solid piece and I can't turn it around to show you.
Because the popsicle sticks.
Yes. Um, And once, and I'm usually, this is what I use to cover it. It's an old, reusing. It's an old bag that a pair of shoes came in. Um, and so one morning, my son was coming. I was running late for an appointment. I left and didn't cover my light. I hadn't used it that day. Unfortunately, my son was at my house and he was there to watch soccer and we are going to have lunch when I got back from the appointment, and all of a sudden he said, so I was smelling something and then I saw a little bit of smoke and I have a tiny hole in my leather couch.
Oh,
So hard lesson learned, always cover your magnifier.
oh my gosh. That's, yeah, yeah, I'm sure you'll never forget that.
Oh no. So I have one more lamp with a magnifier to show you. Because as I said, the lamp that I usually take to stitching events is a little bit limited because it doesn't always move the way I want it to.
Hmm.
So I was at seminar this last fall, the EGA seminar, and I was enabled to buy this,
That looks crazy.
which comes from Lowe's, Amazon, or Home Depot because it is a work lamp that is not considered a stitching tool. It is a like a workbench thing. So it clips, has a clips, you can clip it onto the table. The base is pretty sturdy, so you can just use the base if you don't have a table that's clippable. And it is infinitely adjustable.
Let me raise it up so we can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's infinitely adjustable. So it goes every which way. And
Oh my,
it comes all twisted up in the box.
you could
So
practically tie it in a knot.
yes. And I thought that was a brilliant thing. The light is good, the magnification is great, and it charges in just a few hours. I would imagine that the charge holds a very long time. Um, so There you go. Oh, and it has two settings. Again, I just discovered that.
When you showed this to me the other day, mine's arriving tomorrow. You enabled
Oh,
me.
enabling at its finest.
I will say this, if you're using like a smaller power supply for your USB enabled lamp, either whether it's this or this, if I'm in a day-long class, I usually don't, when we go to lunch, I usually don't turn these things off and leave the lamp in the room. You always have 2 hours for lunch. So
Right.
I will take this and my lamp back to the room, make sure I've got a full charge on this so that I have the complete charge still. I top it off. So I have a full charge in the afternoon. Most of the time, I really don't have to worry, but I kind of like to be safe than sorry and not go without an extra light because while the hotel rooms that we use for classes usually are pretty well lit. Sometimes you just need that extra little concentration of light, and I don't want to be caught up short without it. So even these little ones, these will easily get you through a morning, probably the entire day. But I fear it's always a good idea to just top it off at lunchtime. And this little guy, I don't know, it was a gift. I don't know where they got it. I suspect Amazon. That can slip in my pocket, which is pretty cool. It's so small.
Nice.
Yeah, so it even says on the front, time flies, the age of Elvis. Okay.
Okay.
It works for
Whatever
me.
that means.
So we aren't showing you all the solutions that are out there, but heaven knows there's a ton of them. But these are the ones that Ina and I use. You can tell that we have some different things because it fits our different situations or our different eyesight. So hopefully some of the things that we talked about will resonate with you and we've enabled you too.
So this is Ina and Jana from EGA, which is officially known as Embroiderers Guild of America, but which we affectionately call Enablers Guild of America. I hope we've enabled you or given you confidence to try tools, give you a sampling of what's out there. If you have a favorite tool, let us know. Leave a comment, please.
Mhm.
And you might even enable us. Because one thing I've learned is no matter how many things you have, and no matter how experienced and in love with them you are, there's always a tool out there with your name on
That's a worried problem.
it.
All right.
Thank you for watching.